Hello, my name is John Nogle, and I was in the film business for 55 years. I was a lab worker. I belonged to the lab union. I worked mainly in the optical department. But when I first started, I had a connection with Hal Roach Studios, and I was a film loader there for a while. And then that job kind of petered out. After a while, I had heard of an opening up in the optical department, and I had a card, so I went up there and asked them for a job. And the man said, see me Tuesday. And I went back Tuesday, he hired me. Universal said to me, we're going to start our own department, and we'd like you to join us. So I gave my notice at Pacific Title, went to work for Universal Optical Department. I then went back to Pacific Title and stayed there until I retired, which was 2001, January. The only time I'd go on a set is when they wanted to show us what they wanted to do in a blue screen shot or any kind of a specialty thing. Like in Animal House, there's an angel on this guy's shoulder and a devil over here. Mm-hmm. Well, I went down, we talked to the director, and he explained that shot, and we put it together. A lot of people were trying to get into the motion picture business, but right after the war, they were only letting in sons of members, and it took a lot to even get that kind of ratified, because everybody wanted to get in. They didn't want to play favorites, but then finally, one fella at a camera local said, let's do what the electricians are doing. Let's let our sons in. So they did. A lot of my friends, folks, were in the picture business.
Oh, okay.
And so it was just kind of natural. It wasn't especially special or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It was just, I don't think anybody, the only time anybody would know is if you had to fill out a form in school. What's your dad's name, what's your mother's name, when were they born, what's the occupation, and all that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't think it was a big deal.
Oh, okay.
Other than people did want to get into it because it was a well-paying job. Mm-hmm. Yes. It has affected me, absolutely, and it has affected my entire family. My dad was a cameraman, and he worked mostly at MGM until the '33 strike. And then he went to Fox, eventually to Warner's, and stayed at Warner's a lot, and then moved over to Columbia from time to time. But he got me in the business, and I've gotten a few people in the business too, just relatives. Mm-hmm. It's a very nepotism situation. Relatives have an easier way of getting in than people that don't have any connections. Mm-hmm. So it has affected me. I mean, it's my main thing besides my family. Yeah, and I worked till I was almost 80. I enjoyed it that much. They used to have double, even triple bills. I used to go to the movies at least 2 to 3 times a week. It was, I mean, I was a maniac. Yeah, and my grandfather would drive me to wherever I'd go, the movie. I'd go in, find out when it was going to let out, tell him, and he'd be there to pick me up afterward. But I really love to see movies. Oh, it was a dime, it was 15, it was a quarter, then it went to 35 cents. And
now it's at $15 pretty much.
For one movie.
Yeah.
I've stopped going to movies. And I'm not real well versed now because I'm not in the business anymore. But what I hear is they're trying to make video look more like film. Film has a different look than video. And so they've been working on this and working on it, and they feel like they're going to come to some kind of a conclusion where it will eventually resemble film more than video, even though it might be video.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's the biggest development. I think I do. It was a Mickey Mouse, and it was something about coming around the bend. A steamboat coming around the bend or something
Oh, the
like
steamboat,
that.
yeah.
And that was my first cartoon. I thought it was very funny and you know, really new. Something was new there. I think it was Phantom of the Opera.
Really?
Scared the daylights out of me. I was just a little kid. Just scared that it was with Lon Chaney, that version. And it was a lot scarier than the ones they've made recently.
Right.
You know, they've got the mask and all this stuff that hides his ugliness. But in that other one, it was something.
Yeah.
He was hideous. I wrote them down.
You did? Okay.
William Holden, Gregory Peck, Cary Grant, Steve McQueen, and Gary Cooper. They are Greer Garson, Deborah Carr, Ingrid Bergman, Betty Davis, and Natalie Wood. There are so many, but I think one that probably affected me and a lot of other guys that were coming home from the war. There was a picture called Best Years of Our Lives, and it had a great all-star cast, and it told the story of 3 returning veterans back to their families and all the situations they had to go through. And so I think people who were veterans kind of connected with that.